Hi, friend. I'm Justy, cult survivor and post cult thriver. Today, I want to talk about what is my purpose? What is it all about? What's it all about, Alfie? That's an oldie. Why am I doing all this? I know that this is a universal need for people at a certain point once we get past for survival. I've heard it called self-actualization. It's not just for people who've come out of cults and religions. And having grown up and been born in a religious cult, I was given a life purpose very early on to stay in the light, which they called hold to the light, to share it with others, to bring people into the light. If that was not possible in my daily life, then certainly to get married inside the light and have babies and children and raise them to stay in the light. By the way, both of my children left. And also even during sleep time on the astral plane to be a messenger of the light and help others. So they created my whole purpose and I had that. I embraced it as best I could. I really didn't have a choice. And then I left. No more purpose. I cultivated a purpose inside a few different 12-step recovery rooms to stay sober, to stay abstinent, to help another alcoholic to be sober, to help another compulsive eater to be abstinent, etc. I'm outing myself, not a big deal. It still wasn't enough at a certain point. I was like, really? Is that it? Is that it? I really went through quite a dark night of the soul around this in 2010, 2011, that time period. 10 years after I left the cult, really. 9, 10 years after I left the cult. So this process can certainly evolve, right? So what is your experience with finding life purpose? Do you think you found it and then it's not enough? Certainly I was never taught that just to be happy. No, that was not the key. That was a side effect. If I got to be happy, that was nice. So I still probably don't really expect that, or probably don't really pursue let me just be happy. I notice if I'm unhappy, maybe something's going on that needs to be looked at. So how about having a purpose and then tamping it down? I've talked about that, the purpose of helping other women who are either in religions and cults and who long to come out and who somehow don't even think they can. Helping women who have left, and helping women who are change makers or want to be change makers who've been out for quite some time and yet still have these inner glass ceilings and these fixed mindsets that they have brought from their cult or controlling religion. Now that has been a purpose for me off and on for years, and I did tamp it down, and I did write a book, and I have talked with you about that. My book, Leaving the Light, and that still wasn't enough, and I still ignored it. It's not that it wasn't enough, it was that I think it was almost too much, and I ignored it. I had some stories about it, that people don't want to talk about cults that they've been in. They don't want to address religions that they've been in. There's too much shame there. How are you going to help people who want to stay in hiding? And the other one is my own ego. I didn't want to lead with, hey, I'm a cult survivor. I didn't want to be thought of that way. I have presented myself as a lot of different identities and really not wanting to lead with that. I've been discouraged because it's dwelling too much on the past or the victimhood. So I believed that and just let it aside. But I came back to it, and that's through the work of a coach who really helped me named Claire Zammit. How do I discover what my purpose is? One of the things I've learned is to actually look at where the gaps are in my life. Where is there a gap between what I profess I would be and what I am? I profess to stand for women and for their freedom and power, and yet what am I? I'm working in a gym and I'm doing 12-step recovery in confidential, hidden settings, really. The world doesn't see it because it's kept anonymous. I'm working one-on-one, but I'm not working out in full visibility, being seen and heard. So there's a gap there between what I profess I would be. For years, I've said that I stand for women's freedom, but what was I doing about it? So that was a big gap that popped up. There's also been a gap in my love life, but I don't really profess to be somebody that's in great love relationships, and I don't actually prioritize it. In truth, I prioritize more of this making a difference for other women. That's really who I am. So I had to come back to like what's happening with this gap. And that's where I started to uncover some of my stories about it, which are actually fixed mindsets, like, oh, that women don't want to come out and don't want to be honest about where they've come from, or they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I've had some experiences like that, but that is so fixed and so limiting. Besides, what about the possibility that the world is changing? And this is what I found too in doing some Googling around, is that there's a lot more change going on in that field of religious recovery, recovering from religious trauma, deconstructing religious beliefs, people recovering from cults, the damage done by cults. I mean, a lot has changed in the last 20 years in that people are coming out, people are being change makers, people are telling their story more and more books, right? So that fixed limiting belief could be shot down. Basically, being able to recognize where I have a fixed limiting belief that's actually holding me back from my purpose. Then there's also feeling the emotion that's there under the surface. And that comes when I share a little bit about what it is that I want to do and that I care about, and what I have been through that I wish to save others from going through, or make it easier for them as they go through it. It's not that I wish that women would not leave cults or controlling religions, but I wish that they could have what I didn't have. And the support, and to speed this process, maybe it doesn't have to take 20 years to be ready. What do you have on this? What do you have on discovering your life purpose and how it has changed? What do you have about being in a cult or religion and having your purpose completely change, if not just disappear into nothingness? What do you want to talk more about? Please, thank you so much for listening to me, first of all, and please like, subscribe, and share this video. I do want to expand our circle.